She leveled the blade at his throat. Any last words? He grinned. You're holding it. Beginning. The city of Kalaris was built on steel and shadows. Its towers scraped the sky, their neon veins glowing against a permanent night, while the streets below crawled with scavengers, mercenaries, and dreamers who clung to survival like rats clung to sinking ships. Humanity had reached for the stars once, but now, on Earth, technology had decayed into fragments of forgotten marvels. Blades infused with ancient nanotech were rarest of all, the so-called shards, weapons forged in the collapsed era. Each one had a mind of its own, whispering to its wielder, choosing whether to obey or betray. Whoever held a shard was feared, revered, or hunted. And that night, under the dripping neon signs of the East Warrens, a shard was aimed at Cade's throat. Any last words? The woman hissed. Her grip was steady, her stance disciplined. Cade tilted his head, unbothered by the razor edge resting against his skin. His grin widened, devilish and reckless. Yeah, you're holding it wrong. The blade pulsed faintly in her hands, humming with a vibration she couldn't control. It wasn't just a weapon. It was alive. The hunter and the fugitive. Her name was Sarasve, once a soldier of the Dominion Corps, now a bounty hunter. She was known in Kalaris for bringing in fugitives alive when most hunters brought them in dead. She didn't trust easily, but she trusted her blade, Axiom, a shard that had whispered to her since the day she pulled it from a dead warlord's chest. And right now, Axiom's whispers were muddled. The weapon vibrated faintly, a strange recognition passing between it and the man she had cornered. Cade was wanted for stealing from the Dominion itself. Not credits, not weapons, but data. Rumors claimed he'd stolen coordinates to the vault beyond the orbit. An abandoned station said to house collapse-era technologies that could rewrite the balance of power. I've been chased before, Cade said, his voice smooth despite the blade digging into his throat. But you, Hunter, you're different. You don't want me dead. Not yet. Saris narrowed her eyes. Keep talking, thief, and you'll lose the chance to finish. But even as she spoke, the shard's whispers brushed against her mind like static. This one knows. Cade leaned closer, just enough for the humming to intensify. That blade you're holding, it's not yours. Not really. It recognizes me, doesn't it? The weapon shuddered violently in her grip, and before she could tighten her hold, it slipped from her hand and hovered between them, shimmering with blue light. Saris froze. In all the years she had carried Axiom, it had never once left her willingly. And yet, as the weapon spun in the air, it tilted toward Cade, as though bowing to him. An uneasy alliance. Cade caught the blade, not with fear, but with familiarity. He spun it in his hand, and for a moment the glow brightened, harmonizing with his movements. See, he said mockingly, it's been waiting for me. Saris's pulse spiked. Rage burned her pride, but beneath it lay a sharper emotion. Fear. She could feel the emptiness in her hand where Axiom had always been. Losing it was like losing a piece of her own soul. You'll hand it back, she snarled. Cade twirled the blade once, then tossed it gently back to her. The shard returned, obedient to her touch, but its glow was dimmer now, conflicted. Relax, Cade said. If I wanted to take it, I would have. But I don't need to. What I need is you. Saris's grip tightened. You're out of your mind. Maybe, Cade admitted, but the vault I stole from the Dominion, I didn't just take coordinates. I took a key, and it reacts to shards like yours. She frowned. Why tell me this? I should drag you in and claim my bounty. Cade's grin softened into something sharper, colder, because if you don't help me, the Dominion will get there first. And when they do, every free soul in Kalaris will kneel under their rule, including you. The thought unsettled her. Saris had left the Dominion for a reason. She had seen their chains hidden beneath their promises of order. You're lying. Then why? Cade asked, stepping closer. Is your blade humming right now? And indeed, Axiom was. The vibrations in her hand pulsed in rhythm with Cade's words, as though urging her to listen. Against her instincts, against her pride, Saris hesitated. The journey to the vault. They left the Warrens before dawn, traveling through the underbelly of Kalaris. Cade moved like a man who had lived his whole life on the run, slipping through alleys, bribing smugglers, and avoiding the Dominion patrols. Saris followed, blade always at her side, her mistrust evident in every step. The further they went, the more she noticed the oddity about him. He was reckless, always smiling, but his eyes carried a weight she couldn't place, like a man who had already seen the end of things. On the third night, while they hid in the ruins of an abandoned skyport, Saris finally asked, Why do you care? You could sell the key, disappear. Why risk everything for some vault? Cade leaned against a broken wing of a rusted ship. Because I've seen what's inside. Her brow furrowed. Impossible. No one has breached it. I didn't breach it, Cade said softly. I was born there. The silence between them grew sharp. He told her then in fragments of his past. How he wasn't born in Calaris, but in orbit, on the dying station of the Dominion, now called the Vault. How the last remnants of collapsed era scientists had lived there, creating weapons, keys, and children spliced with the station's failing AI. Children like him. You're lying, Saris whispered, though the unease in her voice betrayed her doubt. Am I? Cade's grin returned, though thinner, more bitter. Why do you think your shard responds to me? I was engineered to interface with them. I am what the Dominion fears, someone who can control the past they can't erase. Axiom pulsed in Saris's hand, resonating with his words as though confirming them. The Dominion strikes. They reached the desert waste beyond Calaris by the 6th day. There, hidden under the sands, laid alongside of old shuttles that could still reach the vault. But the Dominion was waiting. Dropships descended from the sky, their black hulls gleaming under the twin moons. Soldiers poured out, weapons blazing. Saris ignited her blade, its edge glowing with living light. She moved like a storm, cutting through armored troops with precision honed by years of training. Cade fought beside her, not with brute force, but with uncanny instinct. He predicted movements, disarmed soldiers, and bent Dominion drones to his will with a mere touch, as if their circuits obeyed him. Still, the Dominion was endless. A commander stepped forward, clad in exo-armor, holding a shard of his own judicator, a blade of crimson fire. Saris Vey, the commander called, his voice amplified. Stand aside. The fugitive is ours. Saris spat. I don't take orders anymore. Their blades clashed, axiom against judicator, sparks lighting the desert night. Cade fought to keep drones off her, but the commander was relentless, his shard pressing her back. At the breaking point, Cade placed his hand on Axiom's hilt alongside hers. The weapons surged, brighter than ever, their wills merging. Together they struck, cleaving through judicator in a burst of light. The Dominion commander fell, his armor hissing. The surviving troops retreated, unwilling to face the weapon's fury. When the desert was quiet again, Saris stared at Cade, breathing hard. You touched my blade. And it listened, Cade said, his grin returning despite the exhaustion in his eyes. Told you, we're connected. The vault beyond the orbit. The shuttle groaned as it pierced the sky, engines barely holding together after centuries of disrepair. Beyond the clouds, the vault awaited, a ring-shaped station scarred by time, orbiting silently against the void. Inside, the corridors were a tomb. Machines lay rusted, lights flickered faintly, and holograms of scientists long dead whispered in loops. But deeper within, the technology remained alive. Machines that breathed, walls that shifted, doors that responded to Cade's presence. At the heart of the vault lay the core nexus, a chamber pulsing with crystalline structures. Floating in the center was the Dominion's true prize, a prime shard, larger than any other, radiating impossible power. Saris's breath caught. Even Axiom seemed to bow in its presence. This is what they want, Cade said, his voice hushed. With this, the Dominion would rule for millennia. But if we take it, if we destroy it, we can end their hold. Saris looked at him, torn. The bounty hunter in her wanted to turn him in. The soldier in her wanted to seize the power. But the human in her, the one who had seen the Dominion's cruelty, knew what had to be done. Then let's finish it. The final betrayal. As they approached the prime shard, Axiom pulsed violently in Saris's grip. Whispers filled her mind. Not words, but hunger. The shard wanted to merge, to consume, to become something greater. Cade reached out, placing his hand on the prime shard. The chamber lit with blinding light as the station itself awoke. Voices echoed, ancient AI recognizing one of his children. You can't control it, Saris warned, shouting over the hum. I don't need to control it, Cade replied. His grin returned, but now it was weary, almost sad. I need to end it, and I can only do that from the inside. Before she could stop him, the prime shard's energy surged into him. His body shuddered, his veins glowing with light as the nexus screamed around him. Cade, she cried, rushing forward. He turned, his eyes now burning like twin stars. Any last words? He asked softly, echoing her from the night they met. She shook her head, trembling. Don't. But he only grinned. You're holding it. With those words, Axiom flared in her hands, guiding her motion. She drove the blade through him, not in malice, but in sacrifice. Light consumed the chamber. The prime shard cracked, its power collapsing on itself, imploding into silence. When the glow faded, only Saris remained, kneeling on the cold floor, Axiom dim in her lap. Cade was gone. Ending. The vault collapsed behind her as she returned to the shuttle. The Dominion would search, but they would find nothing. The prime shard was gone. Back in Calaris, Saris walked the streets as before, but something had changed. The whispers of Axiom were quieter now, almost mournful, as though part of it had been lost with Cade. She remembered his grin, his reckless courage, his final words. You're holding it. Perhaps he was right. Perhaps she carried not just a blade now, but a piece of him, A reminder that even in a city built on steel and shadows, some chose to fight not for survival, but for freedom. And as long as she carried Axiom, she would keep fighting too,